You know that moment when someone shows you exactly who they are and your whole body goes, oh, absolutely not. And your brain, because it hates you, says, hey, let's just see where this goes. Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. If you've spent years people pleasing your way through relationships, that sentiment probably feels very familiar. I think that we all learned the hard way, tons of crying, overthinking, and pretending chaos was chemistry. They tell us that anything worth having is worth fighting for, or the heart wants what it wants. Great sayings. Yeah, truly. They belong on a mug. The ones that are in the clearance bin over there next to the bath bombs that are shaped like generational trauma. It pisses me off that we were taught to believe that these applied to normal relationships, as if suffering was a love language and exhaustion was foreplay. They don't, and they shouldn't. And the fact that we were told otherwise is absurd. Honestly, it's kind of culty. I've seen multi-level marketing pitches with healthier expectations. Intensity doesn't mean depth. Drama doesn't mean passion. Love does not have to feel slightly unhinged to be real. You don't have to sweat for it. You don't have to cry for it. I'm Sheila, and I'm definitely not a love guru. I'm just a midlife delinquent with a long list of romantic decisions that I survived purely out of spite and low self-esteem. Yeah, I have enough romantic misfires to qualify as an actual clinical trial where the researchers quietly pack up and leave halfway through. If you're unlearning the old script and you're finally getting to know yourself for real, you're in the right place. If I could talk to my younger self about love, or if I could impart any wisdom to you, this is where I'd start. Think of it as a hug and a flick on the forehead. Comfort with a mild concussion. You'll survive it, but you'll blink weird for a minute. There's a reason that you keep choosing people who drain you and call it fate. It took me a long, ugly minute to figure out why, and I'm going to share that with you later. When I was younger, I didn't date. I shape-shifted. I was a human mood ring. I didn't have a personality, just random color changes that nobody could interpret. If someone showed interest, I thought, oh, thank God, someone's willing to deal with me. Phew! My bar was basically be alive and not actively running from the police. That was it. I kept thinking that if I made myself agreeable enough, someone would eventually mistake that for compatibility. That wasn't love. That was fear. I was choosing background players so I didn't have to be alone with the one person that I needed to get to know. Myself. What I couldn't see then and what feels painfully obvious to me now is that I didn't feel safe being myself. I didn't trust that the real me was enough, which is hilarious because the fake me wasn't exactly winning any awards either. Now, there's an old movie called Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. And she keeps leaving men at the altar. And Richard Gere's a journalist, and he interviews her past fiancés. And when he asks how she likes her eggs, they all answer with something different. Oh, she likes them scrambled, just like me. Or she likes them fried, just like me. Now, when he actually goes and asks Julia Roberts' character how she likes her eggs, she can't answer because she always picks whatever her partner likes. Now, that scene hit really close to home for me because I had done the exact same thing. I kept trying on identities like I was in a dressing room 5 minutes before closing. Music? Oh yeah, I suddenly loved whatever noise that was. Hobbies? You bet. I absolutely love sweating outside. Opinions? Oh, let me mute mine so yours feel more comfortable. Needs? Didn't have any? Never heard of them. I wasn't building connection. I was building a version of myself that I thought someone would stay for. You cannot build a healthy relationship when your entire personality is, please don't leave me. The uncomfortable truth that I had to learn is this. I didn't fear being alone. I feared being myself and not being chosen. When did you first realize that you were scared of being yourself? I'll see you in the comments where I read every single one. So, I kept trying on other people's lives to see which one fit. None of them did. I changed my likes, my habits, my schedule, everything. I could have written a book. I think I would have called it Whatever Works for You, the autobiography of a woman who never met a red flag that she couldn't accommodate. What I know now is simple. If you feel like you have to change fundamental pieces of who you are in order to be loved by someone, that's not love. Here's the thing. If you don't know yourself, how are you supposed to pick someone who's good for you? When you don't know yourself, your nervous system picks for you, and it usually picks whatever matches the childhood channel that you were tuned to growing up. Mine wasn't even a channel. It was that static screen with the rainbow bars and that beeping noise. somewhere between gluing macaroni to a paper plate and trying to figure out which version of my mother was walking through the door, I learned a really bad habit. I learned to mistake intensity for intimacy. I thought that if I had to work really hard to keep the peace, that meant the relationship was important. Maybe something similar has happened to you. So by the time you're grown, you're not choosing partners. Your wiring is. You gravitate towards what feels familiar, not what feels healthy. Healthy felt suspicious. Chaos was my mother tongue. You mistake instability for chemistry because your nervous system recognizes it. That's how people-pleasing starts, not as a personality trait, but as a survival skill that you never got to outgrow. It's not weakness, it's programming. Programming written by people who definitely should not have been in charge. This is what it looks like when you're choosing from the old script instead of choosing from knowing yourself. And don't get me wrong, it's not about blaming your childhood. It's about understanding who handed you the wiring that you've been using to pick idiots with such damn confidence. And until you understand where that programming came from, you're going to keep shrinking yourself to fit relationships that were never big enough to hold you in the first place. Some of those relationships couldn't have even held a houseplant, let alone a whole human. We were raised on bumper sticker delusions. Relationships take effort. Love takes sacrifice. You have to fight for love, right? Hell, Pat Benatar told us that love is a battlefield. Thanks a lot, Pat. Relationships do take effort, but the normal kind of effort, not some spiritual dehydration level of effort. The we are two human beings with different schedules and habits kind of effort, not the let me hollow myself out so you won't leave kind. Trauma makes you loyal to the wrong things. You start calling instability chemistry and miscommunication mystery. It teaches you that if love doesn't feel slightly dangerous, you must be doing it wrong. You can't choose relationships wisely when you haven't even gotten to know yourself yet. It works for some people. Great. I love that for them. But with 50% of marriages ending in divorce, I think it's safe to say that the math ain't mathing. You're not broken because you've had a lot of relationships. You're not a failure if you've been divorced. You're learning what you want and what you refuse to tolerate. And while we're here chatting about this, there's another lie that we've swallowed that I want to address, that it's our job to fix or train the person that we're with. Absolutely not. I can't stand it when people brag about training their partner like they've adopted a golden retriever and not a full-grown adult with a driver's license. Half of these people can't even train a cowlick, but sure, try to remodel a whole human. If you don't want someone to turn you into their project, you don't get to do that to them. You can't demand to be loved as you are and then hand someone else a personality makeover because their hobbies annoy you. That's not love. That's playing Build-A-Mate with someone who didn't ask. What I hope that you're getting is an understanding of what you want and don't want. You're building your deal breakers. You're learning. You're growing. You're trying to find what you want and need, and you keep trying. You refuse to make the wrong thing fit. And if you do that for a while and you get nowhere, stop. Just stop a minute and spend some time with yourself and get to know you. Because again, you can't know what's right for you when you don't even know who you are. Your picker can't get better if the person picking is a mystery to themselves. Now, if I could tell my younger self anything, it would be this. Stop rebuilding your personality every time someone looks in your direction. You are not a customized order. You do not need to be edited to be chosen. You do not need to become smaller to keep someone who isn't even sure what they want. You're not too much. If anything, half of them weren't enough. You're not too weird, you're not too emotional, and you're not too complicated. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to want things. You are allowed to have deal breakers, boundaries, preferences, and a freaking backbone. Love doesn't save you. Love doesn't fix you. Love doesn't complete you. But the right love, the real kind, doesn't erase you. And I know this because of my husband, Doug, because the first time I was actually myself with someone, nothing blew up. He didn't flinch. He didn't panic. He didn't ask me to shrink. He just liked me, the whole me. And my nervous system didn't know what to do with that at first. Real love lets you stay exactly who you are, even on the days when you're not particularly shiny. But he taught me that love doesn't have to be hard. Relationships don't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be loud, complicated, or slightly unhinged. It doesn't have to be confusing. You'll recognize the feeling for once because love won't drain you. It will fit. It will feel like home. Healthy love is not boring. Healthy love is predictable in the best way. Healthy love is knowing exactly who you are and liking the person who knows it too. It just works. Here's the messed up truth. When you've spent your whole life disappearing, real love doesn't feel safe. It feels suspicious. That's the part that I had to learn the hard way, and it cracked my whole life open. I talk about exactly how I navigated that panic and how you can too, right here.